So I was thinking of making this update video once I'd finished playing through my backlog of Xbox 360 and PS3 games, but to be honest, there's quite a few of them. There's probably around 25 or whatever, and I was thinking, something that's probably going to be too many for the video, because I think it'll drag on for way too long unless I was to keep it really brief, with each game. But then the video is not going to be as interesting to watch if I'm only saying like 3 or 4 words about each game and just going through them really quickly. So I've played through 13 so far, so I thought, okay, now I'll make an update video on my progress. So we've got a mixture of Xbox 360 games and PS3 games here. These are the ones that aren't really for me, well, except for Sonic Riders, but more on that later. So I've decided to put them onto eBay, and surprisingly all of these are ones that I really like, and so I want to keep. Usually if I play, so there's like 13 games altogether, usually if I was to play through like say 13 games, like kind of 13 random games that I've not played before, usually I'd end up liking about half of them or less than half of them and just not caring about the rest. But this time I really like the majority of them, which is quite surprising for me. So yeah, let's go through the games that I've decided to keep, which I like first. So first up is Saints Row for the Xbox 360. I think it's a really great game. It's a very kind of quirky, goofy, cartoony game, and I really like that. Next up is Saints Row 4. It's not quite as, I don't think it's quite as good as 1 or 2, but it still seems pretty good. Not really that much to say about it. It's just kind of, I guess it's kind of even more kind of wacky than the first Saints Row and the second one, and possibly the third. Then we've got Sonic Unleashed, which I really like. At first I wasn't that sure about it, because the Werehog levels, they're okay, they're nothing that special. But then the Sonic levels, I wasn't that keen at first, how it kind of feels like you kind of, for most of the time it kind of feels as though you're just stuck on a rail. And I don't mean that literally. I mean, literally in the game and other Sonic games, there are parts in the levels where you are on rails. I don't mind that, but it's like even when you're not on rails in this game, a lot of the time it kind of feels as though you might as well just be stuck on a rail. But I've kind of got used to that, and so now I do really enjoy the game. And it's quite interesting how you've got you've got these parts of the game where you can just kind of wander around in like a village and like talk to people, which reminds me of the first Sonic Adventure. Then we have got A-Train HX, which is a very complex game. The manual, unusually for an Xbox 360 game or PS3 game, it's quite thick really. Usually manuals for the Xbox 360 or PS3 are like really thin. They have barely any information in them. But even though you've got a lot of information in this manual, and it does look quite detailed, the game is so complex that even a manual like this is too vague for the game. It's kind of, I understand what the goal is. It's something like you need to basically make money. It's kind of constantly going down, but there's ways to make the money go up by building different things and messing around with the train timetables and stuff. And the goal is to reach something like, I don't know what it is, $1 billion, $10 billion. And so you'll have like finished that area or city once you reach that amount of money. But it's just so difficult knowing where to start, exactly what to do, where to even begin. You know, there's just so much different things you can do in it. You can build train tracks. You can even like kind of like raise the ground to make mountains or make dips in the ground, so you end up with like a hole in the ground with water. You can put buildings in different places, you know, residential buildings, tower blocks, attractions, build train stations, put different kinds of trains on the tracks. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do in the game. But even though I'm finding it very difficult to understand now, it's kind of fun to just kind of mess around in it, and it does really seem like the kind of game where if I knew what I was doing, I would really like it. And so I do plan one day on just like looking for hints and tips online and looking at guides and whatever, you know, so I can play this game properly. Then we have Perfect Dark Zero, which is a limited edition. And yeah, you might be able to see there, when I started pulling the sticker off, it's been taking the artwork up with it, and I'm guessing the same thing will happen with this one as well, which I've never seen before. Never seen that happen before, and you can easily scratch the artwork off. So I guess I'll probably just end up completely pulling this off and pulling this one off, because you know the damage has been done now, so there's no point in me trying to kind of go through all the hassle of trying to figure out if there's any way of getting these stickers off without pulling the artwork off this. I mean, it comes off really easily anyway. You can just easily scrape it off with a fingernail. So what I'm actually going to do is just pull these off now. But let's zoom in so you can see it. It's quite interesting, really. I've never seen anything like this before on a game. So, creating a shadow there. So we'll do it from this side. So now the sticker's actually ripping. Didn't think it was going to do that. Oh, the writing addition, it's still there. It's still being left in place. You can see the lines on the sticker that have come from the artwork on the case. Let's just pull it off. You know, the damage is, you know, it's already been done there, so. Oh wait, is this not pulling off the artwork, or is it? Oops. Yeah, it's pulling it off. You can see it there. So you'll be able to kind of see it better maybe if I pull out the tin. But anyway, yeah, we'll just put that to one side and we'll just show the tin instead. So yeah, so this is the first person shooter. It's basically a prequel to Perfect Dark on the N64, which I absolutely love, and I really like this game. It's interesting because this game, it gets a lot of hate, and recently, like after playing it, I thought, you know, I actually really like this, so I thought I'll watch some reviews on YouTube and see what it is that people actually really dislike about this game. And I was surprised that I watched a few reviews, maybe about 5, and around half of them were saying that the game is actually good. It's really not that bad at all, and then the other half were saying, you know, that it's a bad game. And then going into the comment sections for these videos, I was really surprised that in the majority of comments, people are saying it's a great game and it doesn't deserve the hate. I was expecting most people to be saying that it's a really bad game or whatever. I can't remember what the complaints are that people usually have about this game, but I like it a lot. I mean, sure, it's not perfect. It kind of, like the character that you control, she kind of feels a bit Joanna Dark. She kind of feels a little bit sluggish. And the game kind of, like the environments, they kind of have a bit of an empty feel to them. Now that might be that a lot of the time there doesn't seem to be that many enemies around, and maybe that's what's giving the levels that empty feel. That could just be because I've been playing the game on the easiest difficulty though. Maybe if I play it on a harder difficulty there'll be a lot more enemies around and then maybe the environments won't feel that empty. And I don't know if it's just me or not, but the game kind of feels a bit unfinished or looks a bit unfinished or both. I'm not really sure. But these complaints, for me, they're only small complaints. They're not major issues for me. It's not enough to ruin the game for me. I still find it a real lot of fun. I really can't understand why a lot of people really dislike this game so much. I could understand if it's not their kind of game, but a lot of these people, they love the original Perfect Dark, and I don't know, maybe they loved the original Perfect Dark so much that before this game came out, maybe they really hyped this game up in their mind, and then when they actually sat down and played it, it didn't quite live up to their expectations, and so it just felt very kind of like disappointing for them, and that made the game seem a lot worse in their eyes than what it would have been if, like, say this game wasn't like a prequel to Perfect Dark and it just had a different name and they didn't know it had anything to do with Perfect Dark. Maybe then they would have liked the game more. I don't know. It's just speculation, but yeah. God, I've been talking about this game for quite a long time now, but I just think it's a really fun game. It's still, it has that GoldenEye / Perfect Dark / Time Splitters feel to it. Really good game. So those are all of the Xbox 360 games then that I'm going to keep, that I really like. So on to the PS3 games. We have Saints Row 2. So basically it's like they've taken the first Saints, I can't tell probably. It's like they've basically taken the first Saints Row and they've just kind of done everything better, except I'm not that keen on the greyness of the game. I'm sure it's less colourful than the first Saints Row.
That house looks shitty anyway. This isn't one thing, but it does get easier the more you do it. Ain't no time to break.
Then we have Saints Row the Third, which is kind of has a really similar look and feel to Saints Row 4, which I showed just before on the Xbox 360. Farming Simulator 2015, just a really good game. I love the Farming Simulator that came out before this. I think it's Farming Simulator 2013, and with this game it's got some extra things which shouldn't be that much of a surprise because it's like a sequel. Graphics are better. You now get mud accumulating on your vehicles, and also this time with this game you can now what's the right term for it? Is it felling trees? You don't chop them down because you don't use an axe. You use like a chainsaw, and then you can use a little crane to pick up the logs and then put them like onto a truck and take them to wherever. It's strange because I think maybe I've said this before about Farming Simulator 2013, but it's strange because I hate chores in real life. I find them unbelievably tedious, unbelievably boring. I just hate having to do them. Yet in this game pretty much all you do is chores, yet I really enjoy it. So that doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. Next up we have Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. This is basically a third-person shooter / brawler, and it's just a really fun game. It's just full of action. I like the environments. They're like the dilapidated environments. I love the characters. I love like the armor that they wear. You know, it's just really cool looking and everything. Yeah, it's kind of a simple game. You know, you just make your way through the levels, basically shooting and beating up the enemies, and there's a lot of blood spraying about everywhere. It's just a really great game, and so it's based on like these tabletop games or whatever you call them. I remember my friend used to be really into Warhammer, and he had loads of the figures. This was back in around 1990 or whatever, and I've never played any of the Warhammer games. I don't mean video games, but the tabletop games. But it still always appealed to me because I just love the way all the little like figures look and everything. They just look really cool. And then, lastly, we have, I keep showing them too low down, and then lastly we have Marvel vs. Capcom 3, 2D fighter. Well, it's kind of got a 3D perspective, kind of difficult to explain, but I didn't have to play this for that long. I think I was playing on it for less than a minute, and I thought, yep, I am definitely keeping this. This is just awesome. It's just a really snappy, action-packed, arcadey fighting game. You know, it's got that spark, you know, in spades. Just really great. So, yeah, so there's all the Xbox 360 and PS3 games that I've played so far in my backlog, which I like a lot, and I've decided to keep. Well, I don't think I would say that I like Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 4 a lot, but they do seem pretty good. I quite like them, so I like them enough to keep them. So let's get on to just the 3 games which I've decided to just, you know, I'm going to put these onto eBay. I'm not going to bother with keeping these. So we have Blob 2, and when I saw videos for this game, it looked really appealing to me. You like a kind of a blob, and you can bounce around, and you can like paint buildings and stuff, and it just looked like a really interesting game, just totally like the kind of game that I would really enjoy playing. But when I played this, for some reason, I don't know why, I just couldn't really get into it. It just doesn't really do much for me, to be honest. Then we have Sonic Free Riders. Yeah, when I picked this up in the shop, I didn't realise that I didn't notice this on it. Requires Kinect sensor. I don't have one for the Xbox 360, and unfortunately, if you don't have the Kinect sensor, then you can't play the game. So I've not actually been able to play this, and I don't really feel like buying a Kinect sensor, figuring out how to set it all up and how to use it, just so I can play this game, because I might not even enjoy playing games that way anyway. And I'm pretty sure there's either Sonic Free Riders or very similar Sonic games on other consoles that I can buy and play, which don't require like a Kinect sensor or whatever. So I'm just going to put this onto eBay. And then lastly, this is going to be pretty controversial, The Last of Us. Yeah, so I can recognise this as being a good game. You know, it seems like a lot of money must have gone into the production. It's just a really professional, polished, well-made game. Unfortunately though, I just felt really bored while I was playing it. I'm not really sure why, because I love things like kind of like ghost towns and abandoned buildings and whatever. You know, I've always liked the idea of a game like taking place in that kind of an environment. It just seems like I'd enjoy just kind of walking around the environment, just slowly, just taking it all in and everything. But for some reason, it's not. Even though the environments are like that in this game, for some reason I don't really enjoy walking around them slowly and kind of taking it in. I don't know why, because it all seems to be done really well, but I just feel bored when playing the game. It's kind of like nothing much happens most of the time. Sometimes you get into these shootouts, but even when those happen, I don't really enjoy them. I'm not really sure why, so it just kind of, overall it just felt more like I was playing an interactive movie than a video game. And yeah, I can recognise it as being a good game. It's just not for me, just not my kind of game at all. That's going onto eBay as well. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching.